told you before, we tell you again, that be non-violent, be peaceful, but be assertive. I say it again. Be non-violent, be peaceful, but be assertive. Your right is your right, and nobody can and should take away that right from you. Please use your smartphone. Use your smartphone. That smartphone is a very powerful weapon. We've moved the entire country from the north to the south and central, from the west to the east. We've been confronted with soldiers and police officers armed to the tooth. But we've noticed they fear one thing, that is the camera. So we are calling upon you to use your smartphone, use your camera as much as possible. Go live whenever you can. Expose, expose, expose. As much as you can expose. I want to also ask you, on the day of elections, the 14th of January 2021, please make sure you record the proceedings, but most importantly, that particular time when the returning officer is announcing the result, make sure you capture that. Make sure you capture that particular moment. I know that we are very many Ugandans, and I know that we can do that as a nation, as a population. All we want is clarity. So make sure you capture that. Kozesa kamera yo mukwano gwange. Kamera kyakulwanyisa kyamaanyi nnyo 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 nnyo. Twetolodde eggwanga lyonna lyonna nga batulumbagana balina ebyokulwanyisa ebya buli kala. Naye twazudde nti batya ekintu kimu, batya kamera. N'olw'ensonga eyo njagala okusaba okozese kamera yo. Genda live recording ebigenda maaso byonna byonna olabise nga bw'osobola. Naye ekikulu ennyo nnyo njagala okukusaba nti recordinga ako kapaati presiding officer waalangirira ebivudde mu kulonda, nti olwaleero bantu balonze bwe bati, gundi afunye obululu bwe buti, n'ono afunye bwe buti, n'ono afunye bwe buti. Awo gwe njagala okusaba orecordinge. Abatasobola kurecordinga mukozese audio. Those that don't have cameras, please use audio, record as audio, but make sure you record it. Bono recordinga clip eyo, tujja kubawa enamba kwe mugendo kubanga musindika byemba mu recordinze. I also want to use this opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to announce that for the last few months we have been building an application that is going to help us tally our election, to tally our results. That application is called Dido. Excuse us, ladies and gentlemen. I'll say this again. I want to take this opportunity to announce to the nation and to the world that for the last few months we have been building an application that will help us bring together the results of this election. That application is called You Vote, and you will be able to access it from Google Play Store in the next few hours. This application will help us ensure that we tighten every noose that the dictatorship was trying to use to rig our vote. Kanchogere mu Luganda, kankozesa omukisa guno okulangirira eri eggwanga n'ensi yonna. Tokumala emyezi nga gijo tubadde tuzimba app oba application enetuyamba okuŋŋaanya n'okubala akalulu kaffe. Eyo application bagiyita You Vote, era egenda kubeera available ku Google Play Store mu ssaawa eziddako embale. But as of now, we shall be sending it to you by WhatsApp and we'll ask you to share it. With that application, you ensure that you get the declaration form and send it to that app. You take a picture of the DR form and send it to that app. That can be done by our agents, but it can also be done by any citizen, because this is not only about agents, this is about all the people of Uganda. And I want to invite all the people of Uganda to kindly be part of this, because this is going to be historical. Eyo app egenda kubeera available eri ba agent baffe, naye ate era ejja kubeera available eri bannayuganda bonna tusobole ogikozesa, kubanga tugezaako okusala amagezi gonna okulaba nga engeri gye babadde bapulaninga okubbamu akalulu kaffe tuziba buli kituli. Finally, I want to warn all the people that Museveni intends to use to brutalize our people, to kill our people, and to stay for the voice of the people of Uganda. Brothers and sisters in the armed forces, brothers and sisters in police, all brothers and sisters in uniform and in security agencies, I want to remind you that the majority of you are young people. Choose the side of the people of Uganda, and not the side of an aging dictator who is clearly on his way out. You have read from history, from the past history and even the recent history. There is no reason why you would abuse your oath. You were not trained to kill Ugandans. You were not trained to brutalize people. You were trained to keep law and order. You were trained to keep the citizens of your country safe. So, it is upon you to make this historical decision, because this is about yourself, this is about your future, this is about your children's future, and it's about the future of your children's children. We all can live in a good country, in a Uganda where soldiers are loved by citizens, where police officers are respected by citizens, where police officers are not ordered to kill or brutalize citizens against their will. We can do that, ladies and gentlemen. So I appeal to all of us to use our conscience. I want to appeal to you not to be robots. Be human beings. You are citizens. You are men and women of honor. You wear our national badge and our national flag with honor. You deserve dignity. You don't deserve shame. I want to thank all of you for listening to me, and I want to request you to spread this message far and wide. Thank you very much for God and my country, and I wish you a very happy New Year 2021. Thank you.
Characterized by the might power of the gun, we can't afford to have any more of that in our future. 85% of Ugandans are below 35 years. They are the future. And it's not only moral, but a responsibility for this.
Let me tell you what I want. Yes, take a look in every office.
Dear Ugandans, especially our young people and children of Uganda, happy, prosperous and blessed New Year 2021. That is the whole purpose of my message today. I know that the year 2020 has been the most challenging year in recent times. However, I need to remind you that our God has not forsaken us through this whole time of COVID-19 pandemic. It is true that some of our people fell sick, others have passed away, but also we must not forget that many have recovered, they have gone back home to their families, and that is something we have to thank God for. I also felt God impressed on my heart to tell especially our young people to take time to pray at the beginning of this new year. Remember, God saw you before you were born. He knew your father and mother and the circumstances of the home and nation where you would grow up in. God made it possible for you to survive and thrive to this day. And even if you didn't thrive, it is possible that some did not thrive. But you have survived up until this day. I believe God has walked with all of us through the good times and bad times. He makes available angels that keep watch over us and protect us. God has a good plan for us all, as his word declares in Jeremiah 29, verse 11. In quotes it says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." You can surely find something to be thankful for, to thank God for. My prayer for you today is that you set aside time to pray and to thank God for the parents who brought you into this world. Thank him for protecting you up until now. Ask him to give you wisdom to fulfill his purpose for your life here on earth, and in particular, what he wants you to do for your country. Ask him to give you a new hope for a better tomorrow. But you have to trust him and to complete the work he started in you. Why do you need wisdom in this season, you may ask? Well, in his God-inspired counsel, King Solomon tells us in Proverbs chapter 4, verse 7, that wisdom is a principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, and in all you're getting, get understanding, unquote. The choices you make today influence what your tomorrow will be like. You can choose to be safe in this season of COVID-19 pandemic by observing the guidelines that the Ministry of Health has put out to reduce the spread of COVID-19. You can choose to direct your energy into ideas that are creative and innovative to have a better tomorrow. You can choose to put your heart, your head and mind to engaging in activities that build your community instead of destroying it. You can choose to love your neighbor as you love yourself instead of allowing your heart and mind to be polluted by hatred. We are a God-fearing nation, remember, and God cares for us. We must believe that he has good plans for us as a country. Indeed, as I've just said, plans to prosper us and not to harm us, plans to give us hope and a future as a country. So jealously guard our country from anything that seeks to destroy it. That's a duty to all of us. As a mother who lived as a refugee myself and raising a young family, I saw how God brought me and many others back to our homeland. Since then, my prayer for this country has always been that God will preserve the peace and tranquility he gave us in his mercy. That the children of Uganda, many of whom have been born in the years of peace, will never know war and what it means to live in exile. God did turn around our shame as a country, our suffering and wandering in other nations, and now we are home to millions of refugees. This is surely the doing of our Lord and God. I trust that the God who did this is the same God who will protect us and give us a hope and a future. I believe that the sun will rise again and bring warmth in our hearts. The COVID-19 pandemic came, and it will also pass the same way it came. The election season will end, and God will give us a reason to praise Him once more, because He has not forsaken us. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Happy New Year, and God bless you, Ugandans.
To meet me
Dear
in the next few
Ugandans,
days. They had even organized for COVID tests. You were supposed to come and see me with other people. Then we had this unfortunate incident. I'm still investigating the exact elements that caused this tragedy. But the background to all this is that because of the indiscipline and criminality of some of the opposition groups, which resulted in the serious riots and violence of the other month, I deployed highly trained units from our army who had been doing much of the fighting in areas like Somalia, fighting ADF into the Kampala area. This is because of the weakness and corruption of some of the police elements, which had allowed Kampala to have no-go areas. These units started operating in Kampala around the 20th of November. And they were able to deal with some hardcore criminals in all these areas. For instance, on the 20th of November, in Makerere Kivuru, also known as Kagugube, there was a hardcore criminal called Semanda Joshua, who attacked these security forces with hammer, and they shot him dead. They killed him. Apparently, that was a very notorious criminal in that area. Then on the 24th of November, the same units operated along Nachivovo Channel, which had also become a no-go area for the police and the authorities. And there was a hardcore criminal there who tried to attack them called Sergeant Alex. He was killed, and then a number of hardcore criminals were arrested. I have the list here. And when they are arrested, many of them cooperate with the security forces. Like, for instance, Mwanya Robert, Agala, Sentongo Muhammad, Kitone Alan, Tukwasiwe Aaron, Katongore Richard, Kasuri Emmanuel, and so on. These are all available, and I would direct the security forces to show them to you, to the public. Now they are helping the security forces. Then others were released. These included Mabanja, Ainomwe Sugwa, Keyune, Demirire, Kabega, San Hilare, Twinamatsko, Kabanda, Waswa, Kamya Kabenge, and so on. And then those taken to court included Muchibi, Kayaka Sara, Damula, Josephine Nwamanya, Naiga, Nantumbe Carol, Samokora Suman, etc. So this operation against people who were misled by really two actors. Number one, the police. The police being corrupt, being weak, not responding to the cries of the people. So this led the criminals to think that they are untouchable, that they have to, even after some of the young people who come to whom I talked to, like I had groups at Raiktura recently, from these ghetto groups, they seem to be saying that for them to work for peace, it is a favor to the government. When they come to me, they want money so that they stop doing crime. Then I was telling them that you people, you are not, you are obliged to keep the law. It's not a favor for you to keep the law. It is a duty. But because of the weakness of the police, some of these people had lost balance, and they think that working for peace is something the government should pay for. If you don't pay us, we shall cause chaos. And like the young people I was meeting in Raiktura, they were telling me how they had plans to ban, their leaders, their criminal leaders, had given them plans to ban Kampala, to cause chaos. And I told them, I said, you can't do this. You cannot ban Kampala. If you ban Kampala, if you try, forget, you will not succeed, but if you try, you will perish. So it is that background that caused these units, which have nothing to do with the civilian matters, to come into Kampala. Now, on account of that background, information was received that this unfortunate young person, Zebra, was training boxers who then would be used by some people to attack civilians. Now, later on, when I checked, of course, I didn't know anything about this until the person died. That's when I started inquiring. Now, when I inquired, I found that actually Zebra was doing quite a good job in the Kawempe area. First of all, he was an NRM supporter. That's what I came to find out. And that's why he was planning to come and see me in the next few days together with others. But besides, he had been doing a good job in training the youth in the ghetto to live useful lives. I, however, got some information about how some of the youth trained by him were involved in the controversy, apparently, which is going on around a taxi park in that area between different groups. That was the only indication that people trained by him or under his control were involved in some local controversies. Anyway, that is neither here nor there. We normally get information, some of which is accurate, some of which is not accurate. The correct thing is to find out. And that's what these security people had gone to do, to take in Zebra and ask him some questions. They are operating quietly in these areas to be effective. Now, when they, unfortunately, I think that's where the unfortunate thing happened. When they got to the house at around 12, at 3 minutes past midnight, they knocked and they wanted people inside to open for them, but the people did not open. According to the wife, Mukanku Utsi, the one I talked to yesterday, actually Zebra was in the sitting room, but instead of opening, he went behind the house. When the wife came, she's the one who opened for, she heard the soldiers trying to break into the house because they broke the glass, I think. Then she heard that she was somewhere, she was dealing with her chicken. Now, when she came, according to what she told me, she's the one who opened for them, for the soldiers. They entered, but Zebra had gone. And apparently, he climbed over the fence and went somewhere, some distance away. Meanwhile, the wife and the son cooperated with the security forces and there was no problem. Now, these security forces were in a number of groups. Some were here in the house, but others were around, like a military operation, because they are used to that type of operation. So now he goes and bumps into the other people who are far away, and that's why there is some controversy which I want to conclude. The soldiers involved say when they stopped him, he refused to stop and tried to fight with them. But we shall get the details of that. And that's how he was shot twice and he died. But we shall get more details. Initially, I didn't know. These were security. Yesterday when I was talking to the wife, I thought actually it was the criminals who would have killed him. But the wife told me that they had a police uniform. And I said, but sometimes the criminals, especially those who are sponsored by some of the external forces, can steal police uniform and pretend to be police when they are not. And that's why I really, for almost 12 hours, I was checking until later on, the security forces knew that I was involved, and then they informed me, and that's how I came to know that it was our own people who were involved. I'm very sorry about this. I've already talked to the wife and the son, and I'm going to investigate the whole situation, and I will inform the family and maybe the country later. However, this is all due to the reckless actions of the opposition groups, because wherever I go, they talk of intimidation. People are crying that they are being intimidated by the opposition elements. The other day I was in Maokota, and the Honorable Nakawuchi was crying about intimidation by the group belonging to NUP, that they were threatening people that if they don't vote for them, they will kill them. Well, I told Nakawuchi that that will not happen, and I would like to get details of those who are doing that, and we shall deal with them. The other day I was in Rakai, it was the same story. I therefore would like to advise the opposition, especially those who are fond of this, these particular groups, that this will not work, for them especially. Nobody should intimidate the people of Uganda. If you want, if you have got a point of view, convince the people. Don't intimidate, either by word or by action. We are not going to tolerate it. So these tragedies like this one are caused by that background of recklessness. I thought I should point out this one before I talk about what I wanted to talk about. This year, 2020, is coming to an end. It has been a year of testing countries, not only Uganda, but all countries of the world. Here in Uganda, we had a number of tests, of challenges, to see whether we can manage or not. We started with the floods. The waters of the lakes and the rivers rose up to record levels. In May, the level of the water in Lake Victoria reached 13.49 meters. This is the highest ever in all the recorded history of Uganda. Ever since the British came here and started keeping records, the previous highest level had been in 1964, when the lake was at 13.41 meters. But this time, it went to 0.49. Even today, before I came here, I checked with the engineer who deals with water. He's saying that the water is still at 13.22 meters. This is incredible. It has been at that high level now for almost a year. And yet, at Jinja, they have been releasing water. At one time, they went up to 2,400 cubic meters of water per second. The normal release at Jinja is normally 800 cubic meters per second. But this time, they had to go 2,400 cubic meters per second to make sure that the water in the lake does not swallow the countryside around. Even today, they are still releasing water at 2,000 cubic meters per second, and this has been going on for almost 8 months now. So you can imagine what would have happened if we didn't have this capacity of releasing water at Jinja. In 1964, when they had those floods, the maximum they could release at Jinja was 1,300 cubic meters per second. But this time, we are able to go up to 3,000 cubic meters per second. That's how we were able to control these floods. So, challenge number one were the floods. People were worried that the water could destroy the power stations along the Nile. Then we had the floating islands caused by the high water. Again, relying on our internal means, we were able to scoop out all the floating islands along the Nile. That was challenge number two. Then we had the landslides in the mountain areas. Again, we dealt with those. Then we had the locusts in Karamoja. Because the system in Africa and Arabia has broken down. In the past, the locusts were handled in Yemen and along the Red Sea in Somalia, in Eritrea. However, all these countries, many of these countries are in crisis now. So the locusts are not handled there because these are desert locusts which lay eggs in the sands of the Red Sea, and then when the eggs, when they hatch, the locusts fly out. In the past, they used to kill the young locusts, which the Wanyankore called Eptotera, kill them near the breeding site. However, now because the governments have collapsed in those areas, in Yemen, there's no government, in Somalia, a lot of problems, so the spraying did not take place. Therefore, the locusts multiplied until they were fully contented that they had multiplied incredibly. And then they came here to East Africa in big swarms. And people were very worried that but for us, we were ready. And we killed all the locusts. Then came, so that's challenge number 4. Then came COVID-19. I appealed to you, I say, please, this disease is avoidable. I was here many evenings telling you what to do to avoid the virus. Initially, there was some cooperation. Then, at some stage, some bad-spirited people started distorting our message. We are using Corona to stop the freedom of the people. fine. So after some time, I say, okay. After resisting for some time, we also told you how to open safely. You can open, but don't be too many in the vehicle. Don't be too many in the room, in the hotel. Don't hold public gatherings. Churches can open, but have a few people there. But some people say, no. That fellow is talking nonsense. So they ignored our advice. And then the infections went up. And the death rates went up. I think the deaths are now 251. This is really, God is, there you are, that the people who have been infected so far are 34,000. The ones who have recovered are 11,000. The ones who have died are 251. This is a miracle, because in other parts of the world, like in the United States, we are talking of almost 400,000 people who have died. There are 300 and something thousand. So this has been a challenge. Now, in the next few days, I will have a meeting with the National Task Force, Health Task Force, to decide on the issue of the vaccine, because there have been some vaccines which have been developed in the United States, and also some in China, and some in Russia. I even hear that Iran has developed a vaccine also. Even here, we are working on a vaccine, but we delayed here. There were some delays because of the wonderful civil servants but also internationally, people think Africa should not have a vaccine of their own. This is what I was told. Because when we were importing some machines, you Africa, what do you need this for? Africans don't need this. We had to answer a question to show why there is a certain machine which is very important in developing your vaccines. Where our people had to answer, why does Africa, why do you import this? Your job is not to make, your job is to use. So how can you get out of order? So they thought I was out of order. Africans to want to make, that is not what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to buy and use and be led. But we shall make. Nobody will stop us. We are a bit late, but we are moving. I was told there were 3 lines of vaccine, but 2 are now the ones going forward. We are also working on the area of a cure. Actually, they should have started the trials on the 15th of December. I was ready, but now there were some other questions, some delay, which when I checked, they were good questions asked by the Higher Council of Science, but they're about to start the trials. They are telling me that the thing works when they try it informally, but want to do it now formally. So they think that they say, and the people who say are people who know what they are talking about, that the cure works. But let's try it using the protocol of science, the procedures of science, and we see how to. This has been the year of challenges. But all the same, Uganda has managed, because by the end of this year, the economy of Uganda will be 39, almost $40 billion by the foreign exchange method. If you use the PPP method, it will be $107 billion. And that's why we are telling you that we are about to enter the middle income category. All this is happening. The rate of growth in the year 2018-2019 was 6.8%. And this year would have been about 6 or 7% if it was not for this corona. The economy is now recovering. Last year, because of the corona, 2019-2020, it grew by 2.9%. This time it will go by 3.1%. But what is interesting is that people who are not Ugandans somehow understand things about Uganda better than the Ugandans. There is this group known as Bloomberg. Bloomberg, there you are. Bloomberg is a privately held financial software data media company headquartered in New York. Now, recently, it was ranking the rate of growth of countries in the world. You bring the world one, not this African one only. It's the world one. The one of the world. You didn't put it? The world one is here. If you take the whole world, the fastest growing country for the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. They are there, but the letters are not very clear. The fastest is Bangladesh, then followed by Ethiopia, then Vietnam, that's number 3, China, that's number 4, Uganda is number 5. In the whole world, there you are. Then followed by Ivory Coast, Egypt, Ghana, Rwanda, Kenya. So, in spite of the challenges, we have done very well. But as I've been telling you during the campaigns, if we solve a number of issues, there is nothing to stop Uganda. And we are achieving all this before we take advantage of our petroleum and gas. This is all without gas, without petroleum, without gas, without minerals actually. And yet our minerals sector is quite considerable. If you look at the gold, you look at the iron ore, you look at the copper, you look at the marble in Karamoja, you look at the petroleum, it's quite considerable deposits. Big deposits of bauxite in aluminium clays, in Bugweri, in Busoga. So, our potential and our future is very bright. So therefore, now that we are going into the elections in the next 2 weeks, I appeal to all Ugandans to really be patriotic for once. I am getting, in my job here as head of government and head of security services, I get all sorts of information. People who are planning to steal elections, including election officials who are bribed and change results or facilitate people are not supposed to vote or facilitate multiple voting. Then you have the ones who think they will use violence to alter the wishes of the people. They will bring this group, they will bring that group, I don't know from where. Then we have been having the indiscipline of some of the candidates and some of the political actors. I hear that the police has finally acted firmly against some of them. That's what I heard. But I would like to appeal to everybody that please, be patriotic. Do not seek to distort the wishes of the people of Uganda. Elections are a periodic medicine. And that's why elections should not be interfered with by anybody. If you do well, the people will vote for you. If you conduct yourself well, you bring good programs, or you perform well if you're in government, people will vote for you again. If they don't vote for you, that's punishment for not doing well. In that way, we make elections a disciplining method for political actors, so that people learn to know that if you are in leadership, you must solve the problems of the people so that they can elect you again. Now, when you bring cheating in the elections, it means you are nullifying the power of the people. Actually, that's what one of the political groups used to say in the past. They used to say, whether you vote for us or not for us, we shall be in power. How will you be in power if we don't vote for you? For them, they were saying that they would be in power by violence, by force. In this case, people are saying we shall be in power by cheating, whether the people vote for us or not. This is subversion of the worst type, because it means you're overthrowing the power of the people. People have no power, because if they can't remove you or block you, when they are not happy with you, then how would they solve their problems? It means that the Constitution has no meaning. So therefore, I want to warn all those involved in this. Do not miscalculate. Do not miscalculate. I am here in two capacities. First of all, I have been elected by my political party and by the people of Uganda repeatedly to look after their affairs. And I cannot allow their affairs to be messed up by criminals. You better note that. I will not allow the affairs of the people of Uganda to be messed up by criminals and traitors. Because if you cheat the people, you are a traitor. The Banyankole say, you are a useless person, like a child who steals from the mother. Because if you can steal from your mother, what are you for? Your mother is Uganda. You have no right to steal from Uganda. All of you who are involved, please stop, because I know. And I will act. Secondly, I am the head of the Banansuko. The bushfighters, I'm their head. I've been leading them for the last 50 years, since 1971, if you don't include the student years. So we cannot allow the revolution of the people to be destroyed by crooks. So therefore, I appeal to everybody concerned, please, in the remaining weeks, excel in conduct. Don't excel in misbehavior. Try good behavior. I've been campaigning for I was campaigning for 2 months. I never held a single rally. Nor did I stand up in the car to wave, to show myself how beautiful I am, how handsome I am. Even when people gather, I just wave them from inside my car, and I come and I talk through the radio. I've not held the right now to talk to you. I'm sure many of you are listening to me. If you have got something to say, why can't you say it in a safe way like I'm now here talking to you? So please, I appeal to you. It is safer for you to behave well in the remaining 2 weeks so that we have got good elections. Don't be tempted to think that you are too clever, because we are here. And we are here with our historical mandate and with the popular mandate. And we shall not tolerate anybody to mess up Uganda. I thank you, and I wish you good luck.
Banyarwanda, baturarwanda mwese, inshuti z'u Rwanda. Dutangiye uyu mwaka mushya dufite icyizere kuko u Rwanda rwageze kuri byinshi, nubwo twahuye n'ibibazo bidasanzwe mu mwaka w'ibihumbi 2020. Ibi bivuze ko dushobora gukora n'ibirenze igihe iki cyorezo kizaba kitagihari. Isomo twakuye muri uyu mwaka ushize nuko iyo twitwaye neza tugashyira hamwe nta cyaduhungabanya. Twese tugomba gukomeza kuba maso mu mezi ari imbere igihe urukingo rwa COVID rutaratugeraho. Kubera imbaraga zanyu, ubushake no gukunda igihugu twese dufite, uyu mwaka utangiye uzaba mwiza kurusha uwo dusoje. Twirinde rero buri wese yite ku bandi. Mu by'ukuri iri jambo ryari ryo gusoza umwaka no gutangiza undi. Naho ibindi twabivuze ubwo nabagezagaho uko igihugu gihagaze. Jye n'umuryango wanjye tubifurije mwese n'abanyu umwaka mushya muhire w'ibihumbi 2021. Uzababere uw'uburumbuke. Mugire umugisha w'Imana.
We come to the end of the year 2020 and we usher in the new year 2021 My family and I are today delighted to convey our best wishes to all Kenyans at home and abroad. Fellow Kenyans, the dawn of a new year is not just a calendar event that marks the passage of time. It symbolizes transition, renewed hope, new opportunities, and limitless possibilities. A new year brings with it the chance for rebirth, renewal, as well as restoration. But we cannot experience the newness of a new year without a renewal of minds. I say so because you cannot seize the opportunities and limitless possibilities of 2021 if we are stuck in the mindset of the old year 2020 and previous years. This year just ending has tested all of us immensely, individually as well as collectively as a nation. It has tested us in ways we have never experienced before. We have experienced many individual as well as collective tragedies. But it has also been one of numerous unstated individual as well as collective triumphs. For in the moment of adversity lay also the seeds of opportunity. Fellow Kenyans, as the pandemic spread across the world, our homes transformed into protective incubation capsules for those that we love. Like returning to a mother's womb, our walls became the hiding place, sheltering us from COVID-19, and we depended on this space for everything. Our homes became our places of worship. They became our schools, our playgrounds, our places of work. The pandemic has no doubt stretched us and the way we orient our families, and indeed in the way we live. Caught in the middle of this new normal were our children. Children who missed the joy of the playground and the happiness of the experience while learning together. They have been trying hard to adapt to the restricted way of living, while many have been able to adapt, survive, and some even thrive. Some felt trapped and unfortunately buckled. So fellow Kenyans, in this new year, we need to look deep into the heart of the family. We need to invest time in helping our children come out of this situation and come out of it stronger in character. It will take each father, each mother, and each child to truly listen to each other and place the interests of the family front and center. For as we do everything to make sure that the coronavirus disease does not damage the bodies, we must now also do everything to ensure that it does not ravage our souls. And so tonight, to all our children, I speak to you as a father, and I speak to you as a grandfather. To our teenagers, hold yourself together. Gather the strength, the gifts, the talents, and the energy within yourself and harness it. Do not throw away your youth, your potential, to the harrowing wind. If you will remain focused and true to yourself and to your values, you will indeed overcome. You will indeed rise, be better, and build better. Fellow Kenyans, just like our children, the business community was also caught up in the middle of this new normal. We have had more shutdowns in business and less startups. But I believe that this downturn is an opportunity to reimagine our business models and embrace innovation. Yes, indeed, I do believe that the year 2021 is a year of rebuilding. Therefore, in the new year 2021, I urge every Kenyan to adjust their mindset and to embrace the spirit of renewal and hope. Possibilities, growth, as well as triumph. For in each and every Kenyan lies unimaginable depth of greatness just waiting to come to the fore. The new year presents a unique opportunity in the line of our nation to reimagine our society, bring back the family to the center of our communities, and rebuild a gentler and indeed kinder Kenya. And yes, it is true, we cannot wish away the woes of 2020. But if we change our perspective, there is no doubt that we can bounce back, and bounce back better. I know that we cannot reverse our losses, but we can rebuild what we had before the onset of COVID-19. But fellow Kenyans, we must always remember that rebuilding requires a renewal of the mind and sheer boldness. Those who embrace the two virtues will no doubt prosper in 2021. With the new year anticipated as a year of rebuilding, the year of retaking lost territory, and the year of bold decisions, we also call upon you, our fellow Kenyans, to also embrace it as the year of our First Amendment. As I said in my Madaraka Day, as well as my Mashujaa and Jamhuri Day addresses this year, the country is staring at a constitutional moment. And you all know that in a constitutional moment, the soul of a nation is constantly in turmoil. More so over elections and the perpetual quest for regime change. The proposed First Amendment to our Constitution in 2021, I believe, is a bold path that seeks to lay the foundation for a more just, more inclusive, more equitable, and more prosperous Kenya. It also seeks to make right our policies by eliminating winner takes all and replacing it with we all win. As we close 2020, on behalf of a grateful nation, I wish to recognize and thank our medics, our healthcare workers, our security forces for their exemplary courage and sacrifice during the continued COVID-19 pandemic. Each and every one of them is a hero in our eyes. So fellow Kenyans, on the 4th of January 2021, all our learners will resume their schooling with in-person classes, and this is from inception class all the way to those offered by tertiary learning institutions. I wish them all well, and I want to assure them and their parents as well as their guardians, that my government will do everything in its power to ensure their health and safety remains our foremost consideration. To every farmer, teacher, artisan, artist, to every worker and entrepreneur, to every innovator, and to every investor, I wish to assure you that 2021 is the year of building back better. Building back better for opportunity, building back better for reclaiming lost ground, and for realizing greater growth, as well as opportunity and possibility. Again, I wish every Kenyan, whether at home or abroad, a blessed and indeed prosperous New Year. In 2021, we will, as individual families and as a people, cast aside the shackles of 2020. We will overcome the hurdles that were placed in our path in 2020 and start a new leap into the new year, a year I believe will be one of limitless opportunities. And in 2021, I am certain that we have the courage to do what we must, what is necessary. At the end of the year, we will look back and remark at how 2021 was a momentous year in our nation's history. May the God of all creation bless you all at home and in the diaspora. May He bless our country, Kenya, and may He bring good tidings in the new year. I thank you.
Nous sommes arrivés à la fin de l'année 2020 qui est un moment particulier à plus d'un titre. Pour les croyants dont la majorité de notre peuple et moi-même faisons partie, c'est l'occasion de rendre grâce et de témoigner de la reconnaissance à l'Éternel Dieu Tout-Puissant pour avoir protégé le pays et le peuple contre divers dangers qui ont menacé la cohésion sociale. C'est aussi le moment de prier et de méditer sur notre avenir à partir de l'expérience passée. C'est surtout l'occasion de faire le bilan sur l'année passée et la possibilité de formuler des vœux pour demain et de prendre de bonnes résolutions pour atteindre la félicité collective et individuelle. Mes chers compatriotes, nul n'ignore que l'année 2020 qui s'achève fut une année particulièrement éprouvante pour le monde en général et pour notre pays en particulier, à divers points de vue. D'abord, au cours de cette année, en plus de la maladie à virus Ebola qui a continué à faire des ravages dans certaines provinces du pays, en particulier à l'Équateur, nous avons dû faire face, dès le début du mois de mars, à l'apparition de l'épidémie de Covid-19 qui a fini par se propager à travers le pays, en particulier dans la capitale, où l'on a dénombré de nombreux cas de décès, notamment dans le personnel soignant et les personnes vulnérables. Pour ce faire, je ne cesserai de témoigner la compassion de la République à ces nombreuses familles qui ont ressenti la douleur de perdre, parfois en un temps record, plusieurs proches. De même, je continuerai à marquer mon soutien indéfectible à l'ensemble des acteurs, internes et internationaux, qui sont intervenus et continuent d'intervenir, ont fourni et continue de fournir diversement des efforts louables, tantôt pour soigner et soutenir les malades, tantôt pour imposer les mesures barrières et celles autres susceptibles de faire face aux effets néfastes de la Covid-19. J'ai l'espoir que dans les jours à venir, grâce notamment aux recherches et découvertes en cours, l'on parviendra à trouver un traitement efficace pour soigner cette épidémie. Du reste, le taux de guérison enregistré depuis quelque temps nous permet de rester optimistes. Mes chers compatriotes, l'année 2020 a été également très mouvementée au plan politique pour les raisons dorénavant mieux connues de chacun de nous. Les zones de turbulence traversées tout au long de l'année 2020 par la coalition FCC-Cash qui a fini par éclater, loin de créer une fracture insurmontable entre acteurs politiques des deux camps, ont plutôt fait naître une nouvelle dynamique autour de l'union sacrée de la nation qui regroupe désormais les femmes et les hommes aussi bien de ces deux plateformes qui formaient jadis la majorité à l'Assemblée nationale que des autres tendances politiques, tous unis par une cause, la promotion du bien-être de notre peuple. Cet éveil patriotique que je salue parce qu'il ne tourne pas autour d'un individu, mais plutôt d'une cause, le salut du peuple, constitue une fierté nationale qui non seulement doit faire partie de notre passé, mais aussi et surtout doit définir notre présent et notre avenir. À tous ces élus du peuple qui se sont rassemblés pour cette noble cause autour de moi, la patrie vous sera à jamais reconnaissante. Mes chers compatriotes, je suis conscient de l'immensité de vos attentes au plan socio-économique, en particulier dans les domaines tels que la sécurité, l'emploi, l'accès aux soins de santé de base, à l'eau potable, à l'électricité, à l'éducation, etc. Ces attentes qui sont légitimes ont été mises à rude épreuve, sinon compliquées par les contraintes imposées par les mesures prises pour faire face à la pandémie de Covid-19. Je mesure parfaitement la valeur des sacrifices que vous endurez chaque jour pour supporter cette situation injuste et qui peut justifier que d'aucuns perdent certaines convictions parce que noyés dans le flot de contrariété. Mais je tiens à vous rassurer que les efforts fournis en 2020 vont être accrus en 2021 en utilisant toutes les ressources du pays, humaines, techniques, financières et autres, pour améliorer la situation, particulièrement sur les plans sécuritaires et infrastructurels. Devant ces difficultés auxquelles nous sommes confrontés, plus d'amour et de solidarité, plus de travail et de patriotisme nous permettront de mieux affronter les défis de l'année qui vient. Mes chers compatriotes, l'année 2021 offre à notre pays l'opportunité sur le plan de la politique extérieure de présider l'Union africaine pour l'exercice 2021-2022. À ce titre, notre pays sera fortement sollicité au courant de l'année prochaine. C'est pourquoi j'invite les Congolaises et les Congolais non seulement à ne pas se départir de leur hospitalité légendaire, et ce, dans la paix, l'unité et la cohésion nationale, mais également à capitaliser sur les opportunités de développement économique et social qu'offre cette situation. Ainsi, j'en appelle à l'implication de tout un chacun et à la vigilance tous azimuts, car l'heure n'est plus à la distraction comme avant, mais plutôt au travail, aux fins de continuer l'œuvre de construction d'un Congo nouveau, où couleront le lait et le miel, non seulement pour nous, mais aussi et surtout pour notre postérité. C'est sur cette note d'espoir et de courage que je termine en souhaitant une bonne et heureuse année 2021 à toutes et à tous, en vous plaçant sous la protection du Très-Haut, qui n'a jamais abandonné notre pays, même dans les moments les plus critiques de son histoire. Vive la République démocratique du Congo, que Dieu bénisse notre pays. Je vous remercie.
As I mentioned in my Christmas message, 2020 has been a very difficult year. We were affected by COVID-19 pandemic. We continue to take human lives and exacted economic toll both in our country and across the globe. Our situation has also been worsened by the floods, which have destroyed livelihood of thousands of people in our country. My heart goes out to those who have lost their loved ones to COVID-19, as well as those who are living in hardships as a result of the flood. While overcome by sadness, we should all be encouraged by how you ordinary people have maintained social harmony during this crisis. Fellow citizens, we did not travel the rough road of the year 2020 alone. We received support from our regional and international partners, and I would like, on your behalf, to sincerely thank them for standing with us at our difficult moment. The transitional government of national unity recognizes the value of partnership with international organizations and donors. And this is why we have unconditionally offered our cooperation for all these years. On the basis of this belief, I am appealing to all our partners to open a new page of mutual recognition in the year 2021. For the last 7 years of conflict, we have had statements from our international partners that have willfully ignored South Sudanese leaders while pledging to work with our people. We as the leadership have only been asked to fulfill our obligations in approving humanitarian access, but these obligations demanded from us seem to have no corresponding rights. The South Sudanese leadership in this conception has obligations to approve things, but has no rights to be treated as a genuine partner. Today, I would like to underscore that there are some aspects of our responsibility that require genuine cooperation, especially now the transitional government of national unity is in place. To our partners, there is more to be achieved in our collaborative work by mutual recognition than in a language that undermines. Fellow citizens, I'm aware that the implementation of the revitalized peace agreement is moving slowly. This slow progress is not due to lack of political will from the parties. It comes from the fact that the agreement itself did not cater for everything. This requires the parties to work out these areas through dialogue. While it has taken long, I am pleased to announce that the parties have reached a substantive agreement on responsibility sharing, except for the position of the governor of Upper Nile State. This agreement has paved the way for the parties to submit the proposed names of candidates for legislatures and state government officials. Although the announcement of state government officials and the constitution of the transitional legislative assembly will come in phases. I can assure you that it has already started. We announced deputy governors yesterday, and more announcements are imminent. For this milestone, I would like to congratulate the parties and urge them to use this momentum to quicken the pace of implementation of the remaining chapters of the agreement. This is because the revitalized peace agreement is the framework for returning our country to permanent stability, and we have no choice other than to implement it faithfully. While work continues on the implementation of the revitalized peace agreement, we are also engaging whole-out groups through the Rome process to make the quest for peace in our country inclusive. These talks are now progressing under the guidance of Sant'Egidio community, and I would like to appeal to my brothers and sisters in the South Sudan Opposition Alliance to see this as an opportunity to silence the guns in our country. The Transitional Government of National Unity is committed to Sant'Egidio mediation, and we are hopeful that tangible progress will be achieved in the next round. Fellow citizens, let us all work to silence the guns in 2021. This will allow us to focus on directing our resources to national development priorities such as service provision to our people. May this year be the year of peace and hope for us here in South Sudan and for humanity. Stay united, and I wish you a happy and prosperous New Year. And may God bless our country, South Sudan. Thank you very much.
Shall we now have the party anthem?
Our strength in unity, from vision to vision, the enemy shall lead. Stable Democrat, our strength in unity. It's our land. Victory is our land. Keke is a winner. Arise, Ghana. Of the drop of the land, forward and secure future, development, our goal, from vision to vision, the NDC shall lead, stable Democrat, Ghana, our strength in unity, from vision to vision, the NDC shall lead, stable Democrat, Ghana, our strength in unity, from vision to vision, the NDC, the NDC.
Your Excellency, sir, we shall still remain standing as we observe a minute silence for our founder. We shall observe a minute silence for our founder and the souls that were lost in the just ended elections. May the souls of the departed rest in perfect peace. Amen. Shall we be seated?
Two.
Start our program with prayers. For the traditional prayers, we shall invite Numo Oyeni and Numo Osuklote to lead us through the traditional prayers. Obakpafa ikeji Numo Oyeni ke Numo Osuklote yebiene amanyi wonyemi ameyempai nwokeji wonifemon. Tracy Okai, Parade Adjutant Benis Amekpewu, Parade RSM Samuel Ampadu, Torch Bearers Amishadai Odai and Stanley Dogbe, Reed Bearers Patrick Boachi Sarah Oko, Deborah Sewo, Ruth Jukonu, Priscilla Sorokpo, and Ivy Donto. We also have Emmanuel Kudolo, Rafiu Ama, and Nicholas Apia. Training WO is Mr. Labi Emmanuel and Okansi Francis. bearing the Ghana flag is Moro Awodu. Then the United Cadets Front flag is beared by Millicent Adokwe. The NDC flag by Samuel Ajete, and the revolutionary flag by Fatih Fuseni.
To confront radically.
Event. I will not. That legacy is a big legacy for this country. Under the vision of 31st December Revolution, a very firm economic, social, and political environment was created in this country. It is particularly not surprising that the 1992 Constitution, that is one of the legacies of the 31st December Revolution, has sustained us for getting close to 3 decades. And the question we normally ask was, why is it that no Constitution ever survived 8 years? But the 1992 Constitution has survived over 27 years. The social infrastructure in this country has been laid under the vision of 31st December Revolution. And there are many that we cannot recount now, because as I indicated, today is not a day for speech making. The best way that Jerry John Rawlings would have expected us to respond is not the amount of tears we shed. It's not the amount of grief we have. It's not how wide the vacuum that he has left behind is. No matter the amount of tears we shed, the tears will dry. No matter the extent of our grief, that grief will abate with time. And no matter the void that we feel, there are circumstances that will fill that void over time. The only thing that will endure are the values of 31st December, for which Jerry John Rawlings stood passionately for. Fellow comrades, the only honor we can do to Jerry John Rawlings is to begin to see the relevance of 31st December Revolution in our contemporary times. How ironic is it that with all the years of a democratic experiment in which we have chalked a lot of successes, the passing of Jerry John Rawlings finds us in a very complicated, bizarre, never happened, and outright crude political crossroads. We never expected that with our experiences in democracy, we will be witnessing some of the things we are witnessing with the elections that just ended. The only word you can use to describe those developments is its level of crudity. One will expect that African elections are normally manipulated one way or the other, but one will expect that that would have been done with a bit of sophistication and decency. As we stand now, I remember when I delivered a June 4th lecture sometime, I made a statement that the future was no more the same. A number of friends asked me what that meant. And I told them that I saw it as a graffiti in a railway station in Melbourne in Australia. It was many years I was to understand. As we all sit today, in terms of our current political reality, we can agree that our future is indeed no more the same. We had a very clear idea since 1993 that when elections are conducted, the winner will normally take over and this country moves on. We do have some challenges from time to time, but never did we ever experience a situation in which election results have been declared, corrected, changed, amended, and possibly only God knows what will happen next. But we members of the NDC, inspired by the spirit of 31st December revolution, should not be deterred. Something keeps telling me at the back of my mind that this is an ill wind that is blowing and it certainly will pass. As we said during the launching of the great NDC in Cape Coast, no matter how hard the forces of reaction try, this country will never move backwards. She will always move forward. And I use this occasion to call the progressive community globally, within the African continent, within ECOWAS, and particularly within Ghana, to take more than a passing interest in terms of the interesting drama of Ghana's 2020 elections. I wish Your Excellency and fellow comrades the occasion permitted me to share some issues with you. But I will have to take the first cue of discipline that this is supposed to be a brief and solemn commemorative event. I will not say more. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Benjamin Kumbuo, for that wonderful address. Anyway, onupai komeni yobiene three waji majancheme isani waji ameko kechon ye wo numo oyeni ke numo osuklote ame machon ye ame yempa ke gbele ni ana wa wo ade e ha me numo oyeni ke nya wo na anye yanu se wonye woni ayi akagbaje ochami lehun eyebie numo oyiradon ake oba wonye ni akron ajeshi moniji ejwe abola jaseche ni wondaboshin ake oyebie wonye ni abose okan niji abose okan manche ina hon spare pass ye ni wondaboshin ake oyebie agbene wonye ni abola niji ni ahene nunu abola manche ni wondaboshin wa ake oba yene keni femo odasi inchonye yu ake papa kaji ato mokoni eche yelumo seno edafemo femo ye gane leji ni ayikan moniji eten akamaje manche ni lebadon manche manfe anajia ni hwe fofo hawo nakano wonye ni akwete ko blanc akwete ma manche leun ebiene ni wondaboshi ake oba makunse maba ekon ni mamajie onupa ni obiene kechon. And on that note obache womami onyemi yo ni echa kochone eyadumo NDC aflangana ni ewu eya NDC ni eyekuni ye krowo constituency ni ebadumo MPs ni election Nigeria ni ekewonoko. I shall now invite the MP elect of Krowo constituency, Honorable Agnes Na Momo Lati, to speak on the behalf of all MPs elect. Thank you.
Excellencies, Your Excellencies, John Dramani Mahama and Professor Nana Jane Opoku Ajiman, national and regional executives, members of parliament, Nime, Name, distinguished guests, the media, comrades, ladies and gentlemen. I want to appreciate all present and those watching us or listening to us from all over the world. Though several decades ago, the hope inspired by the events of 31st December is the same hope we sought to inspire in Ghanaians when we embarked on our rescue mission. The principles of the revolution and the charisma of our late founder and father, may his soul rest in peace, still lives on. We seek to restore hope to the teeming women, men, and youth of Ghana. As we gather here to commemorate this day, it is also because we do not assume that the principles of probity, accountability, and social justice would be upheld by all who take up leadership positions in Ghana. And for that matter, a constant reflection in this manner is needed to continue to serve this nation selflessly to the benefit of all, but not just few. The quest to deepen these principles is a path to chart to honor our fallen heroes and a legacy they bequeathed us. The revolution gave focus to economic empowerment and skills development of the people of Ghana, especially women. The livelihoods of women in the informal sector were significantly supported. Your Excellency, the People's Manifesto
of that party will continue to grow from strength to strength. And that spirit of resilience, the never say die spirit, will continue to permeate in all that we do as a party. And we will continue to live by the adage, Ukuma Pima. Your Excellencies, we are celebrating this day under the theme, the legacies of His Excellency and the 31st December Revolution. The legacies has been espoused by earlier speakers. Among other things, probity, accountability, transparency, social justice. Go around this country, every major market in this country was built by the NDC. So those who want to burn markets and turn around and say the NDC are burning markets, there is a greater judge in heaven who sees their activities. Your Excellency, the principle that our late president and the architect of the 31st December Revolution stood for is that even though he came as a military man, when he set up the the NCD, National Commission for Democracy, led by the late Justice D.F. Annan, when their recommendation came that we should go democratic way, He willingly accepted and decided that.
The Honorable Benjamin.
So as a party, we will back our legal action with prayers to the Almighty God. We will declare 3 days prayers and fasting, and we know that the Almighty God will hear us, and victory will be ours. Thank you, and God bless us all.
We know we will get there, and certainly we shall get there. Thank you so much, National Chairman, for that insightful speech. Thank you so much. Now we are telling the whole world that the MDC are masters of building markets and not the burners of markets, as they want us to believe. National Chairman, what Daboshiwa, Keneke, Ewale Woyuemo, ni Okehawo, ye minute no, with this speech. Oh, Ewale. Nous avons fait au bas de Moshi. Nous avons fait Ekome. Nous connaissons Yali. Nous savons John Dramani Mama ka NDC party. Beni Waya neke kojo mo sende ye nani mo ba ngwa wo. Nya wo twa de wa wo national chairman. Eba femi ake be kome eshe indi ni kako ameba amegbeji Honorable Alex Segbefia, former Minister of Health, Honorable Enchibosiako, former Minister Employment and Social Welfare. Honorable, thank you so much for coming.
The revolution therefore bequeathed to us the principle of holding to account persons entrusted with public responsibility, since, as we know, sovereignty resides with the people. The revolution also bequeathed to us a growing economy that ensured stability for our country's progress over the years. It also, more importantly, bequeathed to us a constitution that was drafted by the ordinary people of this country. And it is because of the drafting of that constitution by the butchers, the dressmakers, the hairdressers, the mechanics, and other ordinary people of this country, teachers, farmers, fishermen, that has made this constitution the most enduring constitution in the history of Ghana. The constitution of the Fourth Republic has outlasted any other constitution. And as we know, several of those constitutions that did not see an enduring legacy were drafted by small groups of learned people who professed to have the repository of what was good for this country. But when the PNDC gave the opportunity to the ordinary people to come and draft the constitution that they wanted, they drafted the Fourth Republican Constitution, which has proved to be the best constitution and the most lasting constitution we've ever had in the history of Ghana. As a party born out of the events of 31st December, it is our duty to uphold the principles of probity and accountability as a part of our national life and daily practice. Our party has chalked many successes and has also faced many challenges. My brothers and sisters, we went into the last election barely 2 weeks following the death of the founder of our party. Despite the shock of this incident, our party, the NDC, performed creditably in the face of the many challenges that faced us, such as lack of resources and going up against an opponent who had no qualms in using money and inducements and also even use of brute military force to influence the outcome of the election. Our party's organization in going into this past election was reminiscent of our revolutionary past. The Speak Out tour that we undertook, during which we went down to the grassroots and organized the ordinary people of this country and consulted them on what we felt the most critical and pressing issues were to them, I think was a refreshing blast from the past. Then again, when we had to put together our manifesto, we went down to the ground, met professional groups, farmers, fishermen, trade unionists, lawyers, doctors, teachers, nurses, and indeed any imaginable group that you can think of. We met them and sought their views as to what they would want a future NDC to do for them. It was an aggregation of their opinions and their thoughts that came out in the People's Manifesto. And I dare say that the People's Manifesto is one of the most progressive manifestos ever produced in the democratic history of this country. Aside from that, our reversal to the principles of the past included the commitment of our executives, our foot soldiers, and our activists, and the sacrifices they made to contribute to our victory was phenomenal. Many people at the peril of their lives, and we lost some in accidents. Many people utilized their own resources, material, physical, moral, to work for the party in this last election. Aside from that, our selection of the first female running mate of a major political party also cemented our commitment and our reputation as a party that has the greatest commitment to women's empowerment in Ghana. The events of the last election are still playing out following the resolution by the highest decision-making body of our party, the National Executive Committee, directing that we file an election petition before the Supreme Court to challenge the declaration of the EC in respect to the last presidential election. The party has also resolved to resort to the courts to challenge some of the parliamentary election results declared by the EC. I'll therefore leave comments on these issues for now as events play out in court. But let me on this occasion salute all our supporters, our foot soldiers and activists for the wonderful role they played in the outcome of this election. I also want to salute all Ghanaians who came out to exercise their franchise in the process of voting in order to determine the leadership of this country over the next 4 years. But most of all, I stand here to salute the memory of those who died in this exercise, not only in the election, but even in the registration process leading up to the election. These were people who just sought to exercise what is guaranteed to them by the 1992 Constitution, to exercise their democratic rights and freedoms. Nobody should die exercising those fundamental rights. And it's a duty of any government to protect the lives of our citizens and ensure that no blood is shed as a result of people's right to choose their leaders. And so today we salute the memory of these people who died. And however long it takes, I assure and promise that justice will be done to them and appropriate compensations given the families. But comrades, now is the time for us to remain committed and united to the cause of our party. And the question that we should ask ourselves at this 39th anniversary of the revolution is, how do we preserve the principles of the revolution and the memory and legacy of our founder, Flight Lieutenant J.J. Rawlings, for posterity? He said in a letter to me, when we offered to have him named on the FPSO for the ENI Sankofa field, he said, "I prefer to be remembered in the hearts of men than by monuments and statues." And so he did not seek to have his name on monuments and statues. He said he wanted to be remembered in the hearts of men. And I believe that the only vehicle and the best vehicle that can ensure that he's remembered in the hearts of men is the vehicle of the political party that he founded, and that is the National Democratic Congress. Comrades, this is the reason why we must recommit ourselves to the cause of our party, the NDC. I know, like every human institution, we might have our disagreements, but let us have and put as the focus of all of us that protecting the revolutionary origins of our party and the legacy of our founder is the main objective that we all want to achieve. I dare say no one person can fill Jerry Rawlings' shoes. No one person can encapsulate the charisma, the political wit, and the courage exhibited by our late founder. And since no one person can fill those shoes, it means that it will take a collective responsibility for us to be able to keep this party together and make it a vehicle that would live forever and continue to commemorate not only this event, but the principles and legacies for which it stood. And therefore, I urge that we should recommit at this 39th anniversary that all of us will work together, and that even when we have differences of opinion, we will resolve them in a way as not to endanger the future of our party, and that we will continue to work together as one collective to ensure that the memories of those who laid down their lives for our fourth Republican Constitution is never extinguished. And so on this occasion, I say, a luta continua, victoria est certa. May the struggle continue, and may victory be our portion. I thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, John Dramani Mama. Ebafemi ake eni woshe woke woni fimo baba na agbe. Shi gameke shida eya ake woche ke wena sanegba ni woke woni tumo ba na agbe. Okay, gbe wo osofo Reverend Joshua ni Amogi Kwaku ni Ebabi Solomon ni Wokepa. Kedi osofo Soliatan